what's up you guys, how's it going? It's Papa, and it's been a while since I've been on the channel. I am back. It has been a while since I have last uploaded a non-deck profile on the channel, and I haven't really been playing much, but that's because I was on vacation, and now that I am back from vacation, it is time to get back into cards again. I'm not gonna lie, I have gone to locals these last couple weeks. I just haven't been posting too much content just because I have just been wanting to get back into the swing of things, make sure that everything that I'm playing is something that I want to bring to you and show you. And that is Kashtira today. I've never actually played pure Kashtira until I took this deck 2 weeks ago to my locals, where I managed to get top 4 with it. And then I ended up doing the same exact thing this week. So I just thought, why not go ahead and show you guys what I've been playing. I know a lot of people still aren't really too into the format right now, mainly because of Snake Eye, mainly because of how the format basically is with the whole pricing and everything. I could just keep rattling off if I want to, but I'm not going to. I could rattle off a bunch of different reasons as to why people don't want to play right now. Snake Eyes, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and showcase you guys the Kashtira deck that I have been doing very well with these last couple weeks while I have been back, and honestly, I think the deck is a lot of fun. Now, I was very against this deck about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, whatever it was, whenever a Rise Heart was legal, and well, I mean, let's be honest, that was kind of an issue. But the deck is a lot more fun now. The deck is very balanced, I want to say, and then on top of that as well, it just has a really good matchup against everything in the format right now. The Kashtira cards just put in so much work by themselves, and one of the best things about this deck is that you can play a lot of non-engine, but I'll get into that later. But before we do start the video, I want to go ahead and tell you guys to please check out the channel and subscribe if you are not already, because if you do subscribe, then it lets me know that I'm doing something right. But yeah, guys, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the Kashtira list that I have been playing. So starting off with the main deck, we of course are on 3 copies of Kashtira Unicorn. This card is just so good, being able to be basically spell Fenrir, where when it is on the field, you can go ahead once per turn and you can add a Kashtira spell card from your deck to the hand. And then also its other effect is that if you declare an attack, or if your monster your opponent controls activates a effect, then you can go ahead and banish a card from their extra deck face down. So basically this card helps you get rid of situational cards that might kill you on the follow-up, cards like Typhon, cards like Mirror Jade, just basically being able to help snipe cards out of the extra deck. Prometheus Princess is a very good one as well. But 3 Unicorn to start off the deck. Of course, since we are on Kashtira, it wouldn't make sense not to play 3 copies of Kashtira Fenrir. This card is just so strong. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play 3? Being able to do the opposite of Unicorn, where it adds you a Kashtira monster, and everyone knows the effect to banish everything face down, because this card is almost in every person's deck anyway. So 3 copies of Fenrir. I'm on 3 copies of a Rise Heart, or not a Rise Heart, 3 copies of regular Rise Heart. Rise Heart would be busted if that card was at 3. Kashtira Rise Heart is very good. Basically what it does is it lets you banish a Kashtira card from the deck, and then it becomes a level 7, and then it also lets you banish cards from your opponent's deck face down, and it basically just helps you deck thin and makes your opponent deck thin, and it just gets more cards banished as well to make your Changing if you do play Changing. Rise Heart can also special summon itself if you do already control a Kashtira monster, so that is very strong as well. It just locks you into these monsters, but it doesn't really matter too much because the card does what it needs to do. Last Kashtira monster, we are playing 1 Scareclaw Kashtira. This card gets to special summon itself from the hand by banishing a Kashtira card from your graveyard or your hand, and then it also has the effect to where if it is in defense position, you can still attack, and you basically just go from there. But the card is very strong. You only need 1 of it though, because it is easily accessible through cards like Pressure Planet, through cards like Fenrir, but the card is just so nice. I'm not playing Ogre in this list. I don't think you need Ogre because I'm not playing Preparations, and if I was playing Preparations, then I of course would play Ogre. But honestly, I've considered playing Ogre, even though I have also considered just not playing the Preparations, because sometimes you do run out of bodies and you kind of want to make sure that you have that so that way you can go for game. That's it for the Kashtira monster lineup. It is only 10 monsters. It's a very small monster lineup, but you can keep recurring them back with cards like Kashtira Birth, and then it just gets you going from there. You also have Shangri-La. Thankfully that card did not get banned, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be able to have as many cards on the field at a time as possible. But basically the deck has just kind of turned into like a control deck, and I kind of like that. So that is the main monster lineup. For the spells of the Kashtiras, of course, we are on the 1 Terraforming, the beautiful, if it'll focus, come on, focus, yeah, the ultimate rare Europrint Terraforming, and basically it's going to go ahead and search you out your 3 copies of Pressured Planet Raceoff. There we go, now that's nice and focused. Of course, we're playing 3 Raceoff, why wouldn't you? I mean, basically this card just makes the whole deck go round. It gives you additional effects with your Shangri-La. Basically, you get to add a Kashtira monster from the deck to the hand on activation, and then monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each attribute on the field, or each different attribute on the field, I should say. And Shangri-La activates effect, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So why wouldn't you want to play 3? Card is just very good and helps you just get the plays going. On top of that, we are on 3 copies of Kashtira Birth. You have to play 3 Birth. I don't think you can get away with playing any less. This card just basically makes it to where you never run out of resources, because odds are all of your Kashtira cards are going to be getting banished, and if they don't get banished, then they're going to end up in your graveyard, and being able to just recur monsters every time is very nice. And it also makes it to where you can go ahead and get away with not playing as many monsters in the main deck, because it basically brings them back every single turn. So definitely want to play 3 Birth. And then I'm only on 2 copies of Theosis. I don't see myself needing 3 of this card. I've never really missed the 3rd. I think if you play the deck correctly, you can go ahead and get away with playing 2 copies. Being able to just add cards back from the banish pile is very good. And then for those that don't know, you can target a Kashtira monster you control, and it's basically emergency teleport. You get to special summon a Kashtira monster from the deck with a different attribute as that Kashtira monster, but it does lock you into an Exceed summon for the rest of the turn if you do activate this card, so don't forget about that. But that's going to go ahead and round up the Kashtira engine. Lastly, and rounding off the engine, we are on 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Not technically part of the Kashtira lineup, but it is still technically engine, so you basically want to max out on this because this card just does so much for you. Being able to banish 6 cards every time to make it to where you can see your deck is very good. So you could also play Extravagance if you wanted to. I'm not, but I just think Prosperity is just infinitely better. And then if you are playing the Draco Sack build, I would highly suggest making sure that you don't do the Draco Sack line with the Prosperity, so you can only do one or the other, so that's just how it is. That's it for the engine part. It is 22 engine if you count the copies of Pot of Prosperity, but that makes it to where you have enough room for the non-engine, which we will get into right now. We are on 3 copies of Dimension Shifter. I know I talk about how much I don't like this card, and trust me, I still don't, but honestly, I never really see this card in my deck anyway. I mean, it's in there. I'm sure that it's in there when I play, but honestly, I've maybe drawn this card maybe 2 or 3 times ever since I've been playing it. It's a really great card when you can draw it, but if you don't draw it, then it's fine, because you have other non-engine that can basically help you beat your opponent. We play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. It's just the most generic hand trap right now in the format, so why wouldn't you play 3? And then I am opting for 3 copies of Ghost Mourner. Being able to just go for extra burn damage is just very nice, so I wanted to have just extra forms of that as well. And then it's also just very strong for decks like Voiceless, which is really heavy at my locals. It's still really good against Snake Eyes. It just has so many usages, so I opted to just play 3 of it. I'm not playing Ogre. I don't think you need Ghost Ogre in Kashtira, mainly because the cards already get rid of plenty of removal as it is, so I just opted for 3 copies of Mourner. Mainly because it's essentially more copies of Effect Veiler, which I do play 3 of. I mean, I know since we're playing Shifter, these 2 cards kind of clash, but let's be honest, you're not going to be seeing both in the opening hand, and ever since I've been playing the deck, I haven't. So I am opting for 3 Veiler with 3 Shifter. Go ahead and fight me. I was originally playing Nibiru in the main deck, but I actually ended up cutting it from the deck altogether. It's not even in the side deck anymore, just because, again, my locals is very dependent on Voiceless and other decks. We don't really have a whole lot of Snake Eyes at my locals, mainly because I think we've all just kind of had the gentleman's agreement not to play it. So that's why I opt for 3 copies of Veiler. And then of course we are on 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence as well. And rounding off the non-engine, we played 2 copies of Talents with the 1 Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave could be anything you want. This could be a 3rd copy of Talents. This could be a Ghost Ogre. This could be a whatever else that you want it to be. I mean, it could be a Nibiru if you want to. I'm opting to play it just because I was at 39, didn't know what else to really play, and instead of playing the 3rd Talents, I just opted for a Call by the Grave because it's good for pan traps, basically. So, I mean, that's really it. That's going to go ahead and do it for the main deck, guys. I mean, that's just all the non-engine. You can play so much in it, so I felt like having 18 non-engine with a 22 main card engine is very strong. But that's going to go ahead and do the main deck. It is, of course, 40 cards, no more, no less. On to the extra deck. We are opting for 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, 1 copy of Baguska. I saw this in a deck profile from a YCS Indianapolis player, I believe, who got top 32 at Kashtira. I'm sorry I forgot your name, but this was totally his idea. I believe his deck profile is on Bortles channel, so if you want to go ahead and see his deck list, I would suggest going to Bortles channel and checking it out there. But I do like these cards. I have made Baguska more than I made Dweller. mainly because Baguska helps you for situations that you can't really get out of. And honestly, I don't regret playing it. And if I don't need it, then I can just banish off Prosperity. So it has many usages in the deck. We play one copy of Draco Sack. I don't play the Heat Soul package. I was originally, but I ended up cutting it because I would have it conflict a lot. And the times that I was making Heat Soul, I either didn't draw a hand trap, I either drew more engine, or it got negated. So I opted to just go ahead and cut those cards in altogether just to make room for more Xyz monsters, mainly because it just felt like a safer option and it makes your Prosperity just a little bit more live. Probably my favorite card in the extra deck has been 2 copies of Dark Arm Dragon, the Annihilation, and honestly, I don't really feel that you need to play any less than 2. I think having 2 copies of this card in the deck is perfect. I mean, granted, if you are already in a position to where you have burned through the first one, then you just drop the second one and it completely throws your opponent off guard. And if you don't need to use the second one, then you can always banish it off of Prosperity as well. But the card is very strong, so I definitely recommend playing 2. We are on 1 copy of Big Eye, of course. Card is super good. 1 Master of Blades. I haven't made this card yet. Again, I saw this from Bortle's channel. I had just thrown it in there just to try it, but I honestly have not used it, so I can't really tell you if this card's good or not. It usually just ends up getting banished off of Prosperity. We, of course, play with 1 copy of Shangri-Era. You could play 2 of this if you want to. I just feel like 1 is fine because, again, you don't really need to play multiples of it. You are basically setting it up on your turn 1, and you are never making it again. It is just very good. We play 1 copy of number 76. I've only made this card a couple times, but that was just to basically go into Zeus. 1 copy of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. Card is very good for when you get to your game 3s. And then we play 1 copy of Zeus and 1 copy of Typhon to round off the Xyz monsters. The only non-Xyz monsters I'm only playing 3 slots. I play 1 copy of Link Spider. This is for in case you get hit by a Nibiru. It really just depends on like how good your opponent is, but again, it usually just gets banished off of Prosperity anyway. But I have it so that way when you make your SP Little Knight, you can essentially like maybe use Birth to bring back a guy. When you have your Nib token out, you use this with the Nib token, and then you get to use the other 2 for the Little Knight. That way you still get the banish effect off of the Little Knight, so that way you are getting as much utility out of this card as possible. And the only non-Xyz and Link monster I'm playing is Changying. You basically, any level 7 and a level 3 hand trap makes this, and the card is very good, especially since when you're playing Shifter, if your opponent overextends, and if you are banishing off of Prosperity, the card just becomes super strong. And since you are banishing cards oftentimes with your Kashtira effects, then this card is always just going to be live. But that's going to go ahead and round off the extra deck. I'm going to show you guys the side deck real quick. Again, it's just locals, so it is just personal opinion, but we are on 3 copies of Lava Golem. Card is very good. This card is mainly for Yubel and for Branded. I mean, it's also really good against Voiceless because it doesn't trigger the spell card in the graveyard, so you definitely want to be playing some form of removal. And basically, since I'm not playing Nibiru, I opted to play Lava Golem, and Lava Golem just works a whole lot better than Nibiru does. Trust the system. We then opt for 3 copies of Dark Roller No More. You can't really play Droplets in this deck. As much as I wanted to play Droplets, I don't really think it's the strongest card you can play with this deck, mainly because since you are a Shifter deck, then you are not going to have your Droplet be live most of the time. And then also on top of that too, Dark Roller just basically makes it to where you can just get easy access to make your Zeus. Basically playing 3 Dark Roller makes it to where you are making Zeus every single time you resolve this card, and why not make Zeus? So that way you can just clear the board and then you basically got game from there. So 3 Dark Roller. I'm on 2 copies of Lightning Storm and 1 copy of Feather Duster. I feel like this is a staple in the side deck right now. I feel like if you're not playing any kind of back row removal, any kind of board removal, then something's wrong with your side deck. I do like these cards because they are just super versatile. Of course, Feather Duster being able to clear all spells and traps your opponent controls is very good. Lightning Storm having the additional effect to do spells and traps and monsters on the field is very nice as well. So that's why I opted for this over per se 3 copies of Cyclone. And then rounding off the side deck, we are on 3 copies of Dimensional Barrier. Again, I have a lot of Voiceless and I have a lot of Branded at my locals, so I wanted to be ready for those. And the last card I played was 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, just because I was ready for basically anything. So yeah guys, that is going to go ahead and actually do it for the deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed this list. It's been a while, so I'm really glad to be back to posting content again, because again, it has been a while. I am back from vacation and I am ready to start playing some games. I'm not going to nationals, so I am just going to be going to locals and basically just testing the waters there and basically giving you guys as much content as I can produce for you, mainly because, again, I am back and I am ready to start doing more uploads. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the video. Again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel if you liked what you saw. And until next time, guys, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video.